Caesar's greetings, everybody. This is Robert Phoenix, and we are here for the Friday FARcast. And it is the show where I get to talk with other people. And today we have I hate to use the word old friend, but I think it's been at least, I don't know, I think the first time Raw and I crossed paths might have been around 2017, maybe. So we're going on 8 years of friendship with Castaldo, and he's going to be with us momentarily. And we're going to take a deep dive into the esoteric energies of this time of year, particularly around the winter solstice. But before we do, I do have to give some love to Silver-Botanicals. And I know a lot of you have been to the website and have purchase the gift of the Magi or gift from the Magi bundle. It's still not too late to grab it and get pre-Christmas shipping, and your friends will love you. They will love you for these products. And sitting right at the center is the gift of the Magi or gift from the Magi personal spray, and that has all the ingredients from the Holy Land, everything that is talked about in the Bible in terms of plants, or botanicals. It's in this spray, including monoatomic gold, which is the stand-in here a little bit for the monoatomic silver, although you'll get a little dose of that as well. So it's great to just have as a personal spray. You can spray it in your car, you can spray it in your cube, your office space, your home, you leave it in your bathroom. It's just fantastic. It absolutely clears the air. And then you get 7 other products along with it. Plus, you get free shipping. And in an order like this, free shipping actually means something. And it's a 20% discount. Normally $99.93. You get it for $79.94. In fact, why don't you get 2? One for you and one for somebody special in your life. Silver-Botanicals only uses the most organic ingredients they can find for their essential oils. And they use the highest quality silver for their nano silver additions to their products. And you can go there and get 10% off anything just by typing in astro-weather and support a mainstream business, which in turn supports the show, which in turn supports you and your wellness and health and overall well-being. All right. So there we go. Let's bring him on. The man of the moment, the hour, and perhaps then some. Ra, if you could unmute yourself, and we'll get the proceedings going here.
Robert, my buddy, good to see you, brother. It's always good to see you. Yeah, I was thinking it was more like 9 or 10 years because I thought it was like 2015 or 16, but was it 2017?
I think it might have been 16. I think 2016 might have been the first time we crossed paths.
Definitely.
And I think I became aware of you through Randy and Emily and
really?
the shows that they were doing. And I'm like, man.
I thought it was through Masaki. Man, it was
No,
through
no.
Randy and Emily. Wow.
No, I think it was through Randy and Emily. I think Masaki, I don't know, Masaki was kind of in the mix then as well. But I just remember you being on Randy and Emily. I'm like,
yeah,
hey, this is a pretty interesting guy. I think I'd like to have him on the show. So that's where it started. And we've kind of tag teamed and been on each other's programs off and on for the, God.
Yeah.
It's like 8 years now, I think.
Yeah, at least 8 or 9. We're coming on 9 years for sure. Yeah, I consider you one of the world's leading astrologers, and I don't have many colleagues listed on my website, but you're one of the ones that I have on and always recommend because I find you not just, you're knowledgeable on astrology, but you have a unique take on things and a unique personality and a unique skill set to connect certain things that most people don't have.
And I guess the ADD paid off.
Yeah.
So somewhere down the line, right? Lateral thinking, pattern recognition, and whatever else gets thrown into the jambalaya. So you have been really busy. You're working on a book series, which I just found out a minute or two before the show.
Yeah. Well, I started working on a book technically like in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
and it just started to evolve, Robert. And I started over several times, and the last 3-4 years I've been really focused on the one topic, and I decided I had all of the like over 1,000 pages in written notebooks, and I started to realize that like each chapter is a book of its own.
Mm-hmm.
So for everybody to absorb it easier, I wanted to break it down in little book series,
Right.
and it's way better that way, and much easier to absorb. And I kind of do have like my own little unique talent of being able to break down complicated things in a simple manner.
Absolutely. You're
You know,
brilliant. You're brilliant at it. And your background with various esoteric traditions and mythologies is also uh,
yeah,
really respectable. So let me ask you a question. This is going to be on, was it the Noose or the Lasso of the God series? Is that what you're starting with?
yeah. So I'm gonna title the book series "Golden Lasso of the Gods,"
Yeah.
and each book is going to be a title of its own. Like the first book I'm putting out is the CME Ankh Doorway of the Sun.
Well, if you haven't seen that, we did a show on that, and I thought it was great. And
Yeah.
that's in our archives. And maybe I can in post here, maybe I can find that link and put that in
So
for other
yeah,
people to
so
check out.
much more. Yeah, so much more since we even spoke on that, Robert. I've uncovered about it's not just a solar storm. It's a doorway. It's a key to the early coronal mass ejections on our planet was a key to life, like the Ankh is called. It was a key to life on this planet to starting for, build. It was bringing sulfur and all these building blocks for life to start. And these solar storms, it was literally seeding our planet from the sun, these coronal mass ejections. And our sun is, we have powerful magnetic field lines that are in constant motion,
Yeah.
and they can become entangled and twisted by the convection of plasma and the differential rotation of the sun. Now, when this happens, they eject these massive bubbles or loops into space, and these are the Ankhs of Egypt, the most powerful solar symbol and ancient symbol of all time.
Yeah. When you pointed that out, I thought, man, there's really something here, right? Because these people were picking up on ultimately what you were able to kind of sense and
Yeah.
decode here, because you can see it. I mean, you can see it in the sky. So we haven't talked a lot about this, but recently, over the last month or so, there seemed to have been a lot of activity with our sun, particularly on the side that we don't see, right? The dark side of the sun. And I was talking about this yesterday, where there's this alignment with Neptune and Saturn and Mercury, which is right behind the sun right now. And the sun is in this really interesting kind of field between these three celestials, which as an alignment, I think is actually pretty rare. I want to get your take on the sun's current activity, the deep penetration of the aurora borealis into parts of the country and the world that it normally doesn't descend into. Like, what is going on there? What's your take around that?
It's interesting too. Well, when you say the dark side of the sun, because the sun does rotate, we do see all the sides. So you
Right,
mean when it's
but
not facing us?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Well, to get into the auroras, this is a big question, because you could go from the Native Americans who call them the living spirits of the air, the manitos, right, all the way to Etruscan, where they literally call them el spirito di alba, the spirits of the dawn, right? So in ancient mythology, what I've been writing about and talking about is this is the story of Indra and Vitra. This is the story of Archangel Michael and the dragon piercing the night side of the magnetosphere, the magneto-tailed dragon, to release the waters, the auroras. That
Right.
chaotic region of the night side of the magnetosphere is the underworld of mythology. It's where the auroras get generated in the chaotic region of the magnetotail, right? So the sun literally takes in some charged particles, right? Vitra stealing the cattle of Indra, right? Apophis stealing the light of Ra, right? Tiamat stealing the light of Marduk, right? Uh,
Prometheus.
yeah, yeah, and you have Zeus and Typhon as
Right.
well, right? You have
Right.
Typhon stealing the light of Zeus, right? So on the night side, the roaring force of the solar wind that's coming at Earth, it stretches out the magnetosphere on the night side like a dragon's tail, right?
Yeah.
It is the Tiamat laying down. They talk about like Tiamat or Vitra being a coiled serpent who lays down on the night side, right? And then her belly gets charged with the light of Indra, with the light of the sun, and then the chaos generates and she releases the waters. This is the aurora. This is key to information coming into our planet, Robert, and it's containing, you know, in my opinion, codes of sustenance, evolution, creation, destruction, dissolution, and rebirth. Right, all these codes of light coming in the planet. Right, that's what science will debate. But in reality, the sun is sending particles of creation. Right, all this music that comes in from the sun and comes into our planet comes in the form of light and sound and celestial water, and that's auroras.
Interesting. I think about the ancient people, right, or ancient times, and where there would be events in the sky, celestial events like eclipses or comets, and how they would have, very visceral reactions
Yeah.
to those things, right? And again, normally with the aurora borealis, we're going to just kind of buy into this idea that it's a northern effect, right? That the people of the north get more used to it than the people,
Yeah.
further south. What would you think it would be like for an ancient people or an older race to see something like the aurora borealis, which extended far beyond this, northern boundary? How do you think it would affect them? And do you think it would get turned into these sort of tales of mythology that you're starting to talk about here?
Yeah, but within that mythology is the real kernels of truth.
Yeah.
Right? There's an intuitive understanding that we have to light, sound, and the certain structures and things that the universe forms throughout our anatomy and through space and nature. Right? So we have this intuitive understanding. And I think that, the North Pole is a special place because that's where the biggest gap, North and the South Pole. These
Right.
are entrances to heaven and hell, in my opinion.
Right.
Right? The Duat of Egypt is the magnetosphere around our planet, the Gehenna of Hebrew, right? All the compartments of Gehenna. Our magnetosphere is a whirling vortex of living, alive plasma, right? And in our magnetosphere, we get the plasma from the sun. But
Right.
certain other magnetospheres, they'll get their plasma, like Jupiter, the Jovian magnetosphere, they get their plasma literally from a volcanic moon, Io, right? So, but that whirling vortex of plasma around our sun, I mean, they're literally finding trails of plasma tunnels from our sun to other solar systems, from our magnetosphere to the sun, to other solar systems, trails from the solar wind that form these plasma tunnels. So it's like a gateway. And for anything of light to enter or leave our planet, it's got to pass through this region. And the North Pole to our ancestors was the gateway to the afterlife.
Huge. Huge.
You follow the circumpolar stars to the northern stars, to the
Right.
Great Bear, the Seven
Yeah.
Sisters,
Right.
all of this, right? It's the
Yeah.
celestial ship of the North.
It is in a lot of ways the cradle of what some people would call astro mysticism.
Yeah. So imagine us
Yeah.
being like a light body after death. We would have to pass through this region to go back into the gateway of the sun. And
Right.
if you think about it, what I'm uncovering is these onc loops, right? These CMEs, they're on magnetic field lines. Some of these there's a process that's called magnetic reconnection, right? Magnetic reconnection forms in various things like when coronal mass ejections are formed,
Mm-hmm.
when auroras are formed within our magnetosphere, and also even on cometary tails. When comets come into our inner solar system and form tails break apart and reconnect. So when on the sun, when these magnetic field lines form coronal mass ejections, Robert, they literally form these massive loops. Some of these loops penetrate into our magnetosphere. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them snap back to the sun. So these magnetic field lines are literally like a doorway, a boat back into the sun, where the light body can merge with the frozen magnetic field line and pull back like a slingshot back into the sun. So it's described literally in the afterlife. Even Baal in the Ugaritic writings, there's a story with Anath, and she's going to war with Baal. Anath being the solar storm, Mot being the magnetosphere, and she rescues Baal from the magnetosphere on these cords coming from Anath, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in this, like in the afterlife, all these, they're specifically telling, in my opinion, to go to the night side of the magnetosphere, the underworld. This is the dynamic region that stretches out where it's ruled by chaos gods, as they describe it, where all the auroras get generated.
Is that the map for the afterlife, to go to the dark side?
Yes. Yep. That is the map. And if you look, see, what we're showed about the sun is archaic in school. They describe it as a hydrogen gas sphere. Right. It's actually so hot, it's a plasma sphere. It's a plasma star.
Yeah.
Right. And this actually is streaming. Every sun and star we see is streaming these rivers of plasma. Right. That forms all these rivers of plasma. And they even use this term in plasma physics as a symbol. So all these rivers of plasma, they form a confluence of one big celestial ocean. And that celestial ocean is talked about in all mythologies, from Pain the Grim Reaper to Cross the River Styx, right? To the celestial waters of the Duat. All afterlife talks about the rivers of heaven.
Interesting. Really.
You know?
Hey, did we get into algol the last time?
Yeah, we did a show on that one time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that, I'm kind of bringing it back into the conversation, because when you think of algol, the fixed star, it has to do with things like decapitations and beheadings, and also hanging. And with hanging, you have the noose, right? And I'm wondering if you've ever connected like this whole idea of the noose with algol and its participation in this kind of whole kind of cosmic lasso, cosmic noose theory that you have.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the fixed stars. It's right up there with Regulus and Spica, and Antares and Aldebaran.
Yeah, it's like the head of Medusa one, right? That was
right.
Yeah. So, when we're talking about stars, this is
just let me interrupt you just for a second, because your theory gives a new interpretation to algol. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, the stars are the messengers of God. They're like little gods, the suns and stars. And each star and sun has its own personalities, its own attributes, and we are deeply connected to these streams of light that are coming down.
Right.
It's connected to the spinal current of humanity.
Yeah.
Right. And Caput Agol is one of these ancient stars that is connected to us throughout the year. And not only is it in the constellation of Perseus and the head of Medusa, but it was called the Demon Star in Italian craft. Right.
Right.
It was under, once it started getting under Christian,
also known as Caput, Caput, Caput.
Yeah, Satan's head in Hebrew, right? They called it Satan's head, and it was associated with Lilith and all of this. And in my background and from Italy, we're called the Tenoric mystics, right? These are the ones that hold the stellar mysteries. So I think I started to get revealed certain things as I started to live my life and go through life's ups and downs. Life started to show me things that I was curious about, over the period. And there's an influence under Caput Agol that gives an enchantment to people, right? And it can give you a certain charm for the good or the bad, depending on what you're polarized for, right? And there's sigils that can be used at certain times of the year. And this is one of the key sigils that's used by covert agencies and ancestral lines for star magic. So what they do basically is they use the 4 royal stars of thousands of years, right? And usually those 4 royal stars will be a catalyst and connection to other stars. But those 4 royal stars are used as the gateways: the north, the south, the east, and the west.
Right.
And since 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, at least, probably, Aldebaran was the guardian of the east, the watcher of the east. Right? These are plasma beings of light. Right? These are beings of light that guard the doorways to stars. Right? They would be the fallen angels of Christianity. Right? The Grigori of the Book of Enoch. Right? And Aldebaran marked the vernal equinox, and that was the watcher of the east. You had Regulus, you had Antares, all of these different Formalhut,
Right.
right? All these different ones.
Antares on the other side of Aldebaran.
Yeah. Well, Antares, Antares was the what is it?
It would be the gateway of the west.
Autumn.
Wouldn't it be autumn?
Yeah, Antares is the autumn equinox, the watcher of the west.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Formalhut is the winter solstice now, the watcher of the north. And you have Regulus as the summer solstice watcher.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And that was the 4. That was the 4. And they were considered like these watchers in their watchtowers. And they call it the rites of calling. You would call out to a specific watchtower at the corner of the ritual circle. Right. You got the 4 watchtowers. And these star magics would be used to literally directing the course of certain people's lives. Specifically, this is deep information I'm about to give you right now. Specifically, babies are born, and it's taken me 30 plus years to uncover this information. Babies are born in hospitals, right? Yeah. They're given a code at the moment of birth. Yeah. This is like a sigil. And in that code, it has your blood type. It has certain factors about you. This is sold out, this information, to whoever, covert agencies, and certain babies that are born certain ways. It knows that in that code, like I was born a specific birth. I was born inside the call.
Right.
So if people don't know, who would maybe be hearing this for the first time, a call baby is someone like my mother's water never broke. I was born still in the amniotic sac inside the call. And, for hundreds, thousands of years, babies being born this way, the midwives would tell shaman about it, and shaman would raise these babies as seers. Nowadays, doctors are on the payroll, and they gave this knowledge to military covert agencies, and they're coveted by these agencies nowadays. And they will use the code of that baby's birth during winter solstice and equinoxes, which are the ember days. These are when the veil's thin, where the most lucid dreaming takes place. And people need to realize what dreams are. Unknowingly, most people, the danger is when you become knowingly aware of this and you still make the decision. Unknowingly, when we go into dream time, we are doing one of 2 things. We are using that time to either use our travels in dreams to cleanse and protect the collective consciousness of our families, our local communities that we live in, and our surroundings and friends, or we're using that dream time to travel and poach from the collective consciousness, where you'll try to steal the abilities and talents of others to give you more material gain on this realm. Right? And people unknowingly are doing this because of what they're sending out in the universe, what their vibration is. But then around 40 years old, usually, some of us that are chosen for this on a bigger scale will have a situation where they have to make a choice. They become aware of their participation in this. And if they choose to now fight for the good of the collective or continue to poach to give themselves more gains on this material realm, that's a big thing. And that becomes like when we call this the benindante and the malandante in Italian mysticism, right? The good walkers and the bad walkers. Right?
It's interesting because the 40s decade is associated with Jupiter and the gains of Jupiter. And usually with Jupiter, there's also a temptation. Right.
Wow.
And because you can overindulge with Jupiter, you can cut corners with Jupiter. You feel like, the party never ends. The feast will always have the best food that's going to be there. And so there's that 10-year cycle with Jupiter is really kind of it all is part of a progression, because the 30s are about Mars and being able to use your energy and your youth and to build and to have ambition. And then the 40s are the result of that. And then the 50s are basically a judgment on how you spent the previous 10 years. So to your point, right, 40 is a really interesting time because it initiates people into a new cycle of kind of astrological manifestation, magic, and ultimately the results of that 10 years after that.
Very interesting. You know, there's a book, Robert. He was a professor. I don't know if he's still alive. Carlo Ginzburg, an Italian Jewish guy, professor. He was a California University of California and the University of Bologna, Italy. This is a book called Night Battles by Carlo Ginzburg. And it talks about people that were born in the call, like myself, from Italian bloodlines, that did courtroom testimonies during the Holy Inquisition about their night travels during solstice and equinox and certain times like that. One of my most influential books, and made me understand more about who I am.
Right. Cool. Have you ever interviewed him?
What's that?
Have you ever interviewed him?
Ever interviewed Professor Ginzburg? No, I never did. I did try to get in contact with him, though. I did not get a response.
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago, I tried to contact him.
Is he still around?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked him up, but he would be probably almost 90 years old.
Wow. That's
this book was originally written in Italian. Yeah, it was originally written in the early 80s. It was called I Benedante. And then later on, they put out the English version called Night Battles. But it basically is a courtroom testimonies of Italian mystics, of hereditary Italian mystics who were, brought in by the Holy Inquisition. They were local healers and local things they were put on, and they put their lives on the line for telling the truth about themselves. And they wouldn't tell about anyone else who was involved in this, but they told the truth about themselves.
One of the things you mentioned about being born under the call is that your brain was flooded with DMT during that experience. And so you came out kind of supercharged with a psychoactive element that is probably more in abundance in some ways as a result of that.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. Yeah, I found out that they make references of it in ancient Egypt. They actually call it the net of Neith, where Neith fishes it from the cosmic waters. And also, it may be the original reason why Isis is showed with a veil over her head and face and body. And she's giving that virgin birth.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So it feels like kind of a good transition to start talking about the winter solstice, but I have a question for you before we go there, and we haven't really talked about this.
I mean, we've been going with the winter solstice too the whole time here and there.
But I'd love your take on 3i Atlas. What do you think is going on there?
Well, that's a big question. See, I don't know how many people hold any weight to Alice Bailey.
Well, let's go there.
Alice Bailey, she wrote in the 1930s. I have many of her books here. The one that I'm specifically talking about, if anybody wants to follow me right here, Externalization of the Hierarchy.
Yep.
On page 530.
It's the one.
Yep. She talks about on page 530, and she wrote this in the late 1930s, how in 2025, there will be an externalization of a celestial hierarchy. Something that reveals itself that was previously hidden. And I think 3i Atlas is the best candidate. I mean, it's making this grand stage across our solar system, right? It's revealing itself big time. And look at this, look at the stage that it's on, the whole world, right? This is the great revealing. This is the great assembly that she talks about in that very book. Right. And I do feel that it might be some sort of probe. Now, a probe to seed solar systems. Right
Interesting.
now, and I don't think it's just 3i Atlas. I've been saying this in fact, Robert, what's interesting about this, in the 1980s, when I was a kid, had the first thought that comets were seeding life throughout the planet, which led me ultimately to meet and start working with Professor Chandra Wickramansinghe, one of the most famous astronomers in the world, who was mentored by Sir Fred Hoyle, right? Who they came out with the panspermia, because I had a similar thought that they had without even knowing who they were as a kid. I think all comets, all of the meteors, and these are not just random rocks flying through. They're on divine.
They're not even rocks.
Yeah, they're caravans.
It gets back into your plasma universe theory.
They're like caravans for cosmic currency.
Yeah.
Right. They're carrying all the building blocks of life, and then they're on mathematical orbits. And as soon as they start coming into the inner solar systems, they communicate with the sun. The sun starts to help leak out all of that bacteria that's embedded in there for thousands of years. And it starts to come, and the solar wind will then help it bring to the solar system, and all of this. Like, it's a divine dance that the cosmos does with these things, right? It's the way God seeds the cosmos, right? It's the way we get seeded. And
Right.
3i Atlas, I think, is literally some sort of like plasma nickel craft, right? It's burning plasma, CO2, nickel, water, and as it's leaking out all of this, it's leaking out the building blocks of life.
Interesting. I have not paid a lot of attention to it, only because there was one commonly held narrative by one person driving that narrative. But now amateur astronomers are starting to see this thing come up on their telescopes, and I'm much more open to discussing this now that there isn't one singular authority telling us what it is.
Yeah, there is a lot of garbage out there. I mean, and I think I should clear up a lot of things what people say. First of all, if someone says they're remote viewing 3i Atlas, it's really not a remote view. If you know the target you're viewing, it's not a remote view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Remote viewing is something that can be verified.
Right.
I'm giving you some coordinates, and you're going to draw a similar structure and object as those coordinates without knowing what those coordinates are. And I could say, hey, listen, this guy knew there was a Walmart at this freaking coordinates I gave him, and he had no idea what these numbers meant. Look, he drew the Walmart.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
When someone's going, hey, I'm remote viewing 3i Atlas right now, and there's a whole bunch of Lyrans on there, or whatever they're saying. I mean, that maybe you could be right. You could be forming some sort of telepathic symbiotic relationship, but it's not a remote viewing. It's not something that can be verified. It's not something, it's just a bunch of talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do think I do think all of these objects are under divine intelligence, some sort of advanced intelligence, and they're the way our cosmos gets seeded.
Well, there's advanced. I mean, you bring up a really interesting point. Some people would say there's a difference between advanced and divine, and maybe it's just a matter of perception.
Yeah.
Right. Like, advanced could be a species that would have a much greater intellect or ability to understand the dynamics of the so-called physical universe, but that doesn't necessarily make them divine. Right.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I keep coming up with more stuff because you just always bring a lot of really interesting material to the table. Yeah, I've been revisiting Alien and the whole Prometheus mythology, right, and the engineers and everything that goes along with that. And for some reason, I feel like this 3i Atlas is connected to this Prometheus story. And really what they're doing with this whole Alien trilogy, or how many movies have evolved out of it, is that they are basically revealing something that's been hidden in plain sight, right? We're like, they're telling us in some ways how this place was created and who some of the creators could have been or might have been. Do you see 3i Atlas as kind of converging with that that mythology, and that
That's
some
interesting.
some people believe like this is the return of the Nephilim, right? The engineers are coming back.
Yeah, that's an interesting
What are your
take.
thoughts on that?
I think that would line up with the externalization of the hierarchy theory
Yeah,
that I was saying
yeah,
perfectly,
yeah,
right? And in what form it might generate their return is another topic, right? And I think that ultimately the vibration of the planet is what's going to ultimately turn out to what we evolve into, right? We attract what our vibration is, and out amongst the stars, in my opinion, the sun attracts energies and brings them to our planet, and we alter these energies by our own vibration and send out our thoughts and
yeah,
prayers, and
absolutely.
then it's heard by the sun and the moon, and the sun will send out down the rays of light that it attracts to evolve us accordingly. And so if we have a materialistic vibe coming out of us and all that coming out of this planet, we're going to be evolved into something towards that sort of vibration. Right. And so I do think we need sort of like a DMT type of wave that runs over the planet. And as people start waking up, and it could happen. I think it could happen. So maybe if we change the vibration of what pulsates out of the planet, ultimately something like this maybe would send us the appropriate information down to so we can evolve accordingly.
Yeah. Yesterday, when I did my astro weather, the chart from yesterday was absolutely mind blowing.
Really? I didn't see it.
The planets were, um,
Oh, banging against each other's?
no,
Or all right.
they were like they were a Star of David in the sky.
Whoa.
Let me see if I can find it, because I think you would trip off of this.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to put this up here so we can look at it.
That star is about bringing harmony.
Yeah,
That,
it's the Imagine star.
yeah, that
And,
symbol is about harmony in the universe.
And it got hijacked by a particular group of people to use it for their own purposes. So let me see if I can just pull this thing
For
up
sure.
here. This should be it. No, hold on. Stop sharing. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, I saw you had Masaki on. It was good to see him.
Yeah, Misaki is great. I mean, he always brings he has been, well, he was in Japan for a long time, and he was, boots on the ground and seeing what was going on there, and was able to give us the 411 around the whole thing, which
I want to hear you
real,
interview him just on the friggin' crazy vending machines they have in Japan, dude.
It was really helpful. All right, okay, here we go. I got to do this. Let me give me 1 second here. Where do you see this? This was yesterday. Here we go. So check that out.
Whoa.
This is what the planets were doing yesterday. Look at that.
Damn.
I mean, is that some freaking sacred geometry or what?
Oh my God.
And not only that, but
it's almost like a Merkaba.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the energy yesterday was incredible.
And if you look back, it almost looks like an icosahedron.
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah. Because you also have two mystic rectangles in here.
No, what's interesting about that, an icosahedron is the head of what they call a bacteriophage.
Yeah.
And a bacteriophage holds DNA in the head, and that's what can transfer DNA from one species to another. They call it horizontal gene transfer in bacterial genetics. Yeah, and it's an icosahedron head with a conical tail. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And you got DNA right in the center of the icosahedron.
Yep. Yep. Wow. And then, of course, we have our fixed stars that are in the mix as well.
Whoa.
There's Uranus right on Algol, which we've been talking about, right? And over here, we have Venus conjunct Antares. So the fixed stars are having their say in the story as well. And of course, we have Aldebaran on the other side over here, but it's really happening here and here with
Cool.
Algol and Antares. So this is the energy that is leading us into the winter solstice,
That's insane.
right? It's not just,
I feel good about it though.
I do
I feel
too.
good about it. I
I
feel
do
very
too.
positive about this.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like, and you know, again, we're going to get into the solstice energy, but it's all kind of part of it. It's starting to feel like to me
It's the
that,
people that have put in the work are going to get what they were looking for.
well, I think that's true, but I also feel like a lot of the sort of political, conspiratorial um, chatter and decoding has kind of reached its saturation mark,
It's going to
right?
get heavy.
Like we're almost at the jump the shark moment where, you know, Candace Owens, and you know, and I have some respect for Candace and what she's doing, but it feels like we have reached this kind of peak where there's so much chatter in that world that we're completely losing sight
Yeah,
of this other reality. And
I agree.
if we focus on it too much and fixate on it too much, we're going to lose sight of what's available for us to have these transformational and transcendent kinds of moments in time.
So true.
I'd love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, that's a big question. I do feel like, yeah, I think that's sort of it. It's we're progressing into an age where it's just it's busting out the seams. It's more than saturated. It's busting out the seams,
Right.
and and it seems like certain things that transpire too, they just get forgotten about so
Yeah.
fast,
Yeah.
and it's so weird. Like even the whole thing that happened with, and I can't even say the word on YouTube, right? You get demonetized, but that just seems like that those couple of years just got forgotten about too. All of a
You
sudden,
can say it on this channel because I am
right?
demonetized.
COVID, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but it's like people forgot about that all of a sudden. Like it didn't even happen in some ways. Like things are just like so. I think the political turmoil, it's gonna be like something like that where it's just going to be like all of a sudden it's not there anymore. We don't
Yeah.
talk about it. It's not a thing. It's not going to be discussed why we don't talk about it. It's just going to be it's not going to be an interest, right?
I think we're getting there. I think we're almost at peak saturation.
Because I
It,
mean, people know it's all a bunch of bullshit. It
right.
really is. It doesn't even matter which side you choose anymore because ultimately it's like the same thing.
I think we're getting to that point. I think people are finally becoming dispossessed of their notion that one side or the other side is going to
And,
make any iota of difference.
and when you have financial problems, right? You got political problems. You got people can't even get food and all this stuff happening. Ultimately, when your back's against the wall, what do you look for? You look for a spiritual,
Right.
right? You get forced to look
Yeah.
for the spiritual. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to be the most important coming up very soon. Very
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. Well, when that happens, and it will happen, I think we're going to be in two camps. There's going to be the esoteric camp, which I think that both of us have 2 feet kind of firmly planted in. And then there's going to be the exoteric camp, which is going to be more like Christian fundamentalism, Christian nationalism, you know, that if you don't toe the line in this area, you're not going to receive the fruits of heaven. Not only that, but you are a candidate for you know, Salem and witch burnings and all the things that go along with it.
Oh,
So where are you on that? And how do we
good question.
cultivate a daily practice that's magical? Because that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's a big question too. I mean, people people need to realize, as far as I'm concerned, organized religion is very dangerous. I agree with a lot of aspects of many religions,
Right.
right? I'm I've been a scholar on religion from the Rig Veda, the holy Vedas, all the way down to religions of Aboriginal tribes. I mean, all sorts of things. And religion is dangerous because they're made by humans, and you get these dogmatic laws that don't belong there, that were never intended for us, and all these belief systems that were never intended for us. And so many people die because of religion, and so many wars start over religion, that I think the religion thing is very dangerous for us. And people need to realize that we are made out of magical energy. We are these powerful manifest beings, and you have to learn a sort of formula to be able to become who you are, right? And there's,
Right.
I look at it like there's the sacred nine, right? You have to have intent and purpose behind your intent, right? You want for your manifestation to happen, you have to have some sort of ingredients for that intent, right? You have to have certain tools to help direct that energy. You have to have certain attractions and focus symbols and sigils that right? And then you need a vehicle to carry that to the target, right? You need a direction or a location of that target. You need a proper area and setting, and divine timing for that to work. That would be 7. Then you need certain offerings for the assistance, and then 9 is the release of the energy, right?
Yeah.
And as long as you have a certain um, good focus behind of that, where it's not like, where you're not trying to get material gains from it all, where your focus is for the good of the collective, for the good of everything involved, then
Right.
your focus and your energy, your materialization is going to happen in a pretty positive way. I
Yeah.
mean, when you start to manipulate the forces to get your things, and you want a shortcut, it's not, that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
It's going to backfire. But you have to have some sort of formula to help you manifest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's usually those 9 steps, usually, right?
Interesting.
And they could be anything, could be a symbol or a sigil. It doesn't mean that you have to, do what people would consider like, drawing a pentagram and things like that. It could be, there's a certain mantra or a certain thing that you say to yourself every day. I'd say, even if it is material, you're looking for, to have more finances. You want to be rich by 2026. Well, you say that's your mantra. I want to be rich by 2026. Well, all of your abilities and your skills, how are you going to apply them and focus that intent to make that
And
happen?
what does rich even mean?
Yeah,
Right. That's the whole
yeah,
other thing. I mean,
that's true.
a simple sentence like, I am rich in 2026. What does that mean? Rich in what?
Yeah.
Right. Like what?
Well, what materializes and generates in your thoughts, your vibration when you say that, is what it means. People know, what you, if you're just mean that you want money and power, I mean, the universe knows your intent. It hears it. It feels that vibration. It's in your tone.
Right.
The smell that comes out of you, you know?
What if what if that was your mantra and you said, I am rich in 2026, and all that happened is that people started calling you rich
Yeah.
instead of
Hey, Richard.
hey Rich. The
Yeah.
fuck? I want to be rich, not
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah. I said it
Um,
because it rhymed and it was a quick one,
no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It allowed us to like lighten up the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is really where we're at. I think the precipice, and where
Yeah.
somebody like you, I think, comes into play and has some interesting things to say. We're coming to the end of 3D, man.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
I don't blame people, Robert. Think about how everybody, from the minute you wake up in the morning, how you're just bombarded with negativity. If you try to watch something, even the commercials are telling you, take all these antidepressants and they'll give you freaking liver cancer and they'll give you hemorrhoids and they'll give you this. Like, and then you put on the news, it's all negativity. You go, it's like they just bombard you to be in a certain low vibration that people have. Like, I don't blame them for being negative. I mean, it's what they're friggin' being fed.
Well, it's what they're being fed, and it's also related to their material reality, where
Yeah.
some people have to work 2 or 3 jobs
Yeah.
and just to have their ends meet. So I've been, tracking this whole AI thing. And there's this one of the creators of AI, I forget his
Yeah.
name.
How do you feel about it all? Because like I recently did a conference and I was the only speaker that I could tell hand wrote my presentation. Everybody used Chat GBT or whatever it was. How do you feel about all that? Because like I'm writing my book by hand.
I think
Like
I think if you have an area of expertise, it's incumbent upon you to be able to use your gifts and abilities that were God given to do that.
and we're both musicians, right? You're into music. Like it's weird that like I've been
I
playing guitar over 30 years and now someone could just write a song with writing a prompt in there. I feel indifferent over it.
Yeah, well, I feel like if you have a gift, you should use it. Now, I'm not like you. I can't play musical instrument, but I used to spend hours with like loops and samples and piecing
Yeah.
things together. And that to me, that was really rewarding because it took a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, being able to use kind of a MIDI patch and
Yeah.
use another instrument on top of the MIDI patch and like those things were fun. It was like a puzzle, and by the end of it, it's like that came out of me. Whether it was good or not, that would be up for somebody else to decide, or for me to judge whether or not it was worth my time.
Well, now they take the fun out of it.
They take the fun out of it. So
Yeah.
this guy who was one of the creators of AI basically said that at a certain point in the not so distant future, that it has the potential of eliminating 80% of the workforce. Think about that.
Wow.
80%, and that includes CEOs. And when we first started having these discussions of AI, and I've been talking about AI for well over a decade. And
Yeah, I know you have. Yeah.
and one of the things that AI is getting close to, it can already do, is write its own code. Like you don't need coders anymore.
No.
Right?
Shit.
This H-1B stuff and getting these guys from India to come over here and work cheap, they're just a temporary replacement anyway, because there's going to be a technology that works cheaper. So if you scale this out, and this guy is saying 80% of the occupations that we have now will be tackled by AI. And then when you bring the robotics in to match it up with the AI, we're really, kind of toast at that point. So when I say 3D is over, right, I mean, I'm basically saying like a lot of these 3D occupations that we've had for AI that are now being used by AI, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to move beyond 3D. If we're being crowded out of this space, right, we have to occupy a different space.
Yeah. AI is replacing everything, even our connection to the stars.
Yeah.
Now we monitor and connect to the stars by building machines. Machines have replaced us being in tune and in a symbiotic relationship with the technology. In the past, science and spirituality were fused together. To be an adept, you had to be a warrior and a freaking priest. You
Yep.
had to be a shaman and a doctor, right? You
Yep.
had to be an astrologer and an astronomer. You had to be everything together, right?
Yep.
Nowadays, we keep everything separate from each other and we build machines to take the place of what we should be doing so we can have more leisure, right? So in the past, we were building megalithic sites on geomagnetic field lines that extend out into space and communicate with the sun, right? And we were building these megalithic sites to harness solar and cosmic rays so we can be in tune and evolve with the nature and the universe. Now we build machines to take the place of all of us. So instead of being like telepathically able to communicate with the collective consciousness, we use email and instant messaging and shit like that. And it's just, it run down the whole gamut of it all. Instead of us being inserted in the technology where we are in moving along with the flow of the universe and evolving with it like it's supposed to be. Now we want to build machines so everything evolves faster and we can have more leisure time. And the machines have taken on a world of their own. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's taken the place of our spiritual connection to science.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be science and spiritual. It should be all fused.
Right, right. And it's dulled our sixth senses,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, totally.
completely. It's
Yeah.
we it's wrapped a sludge around our souls, our dimension, our planet.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
literal sludge, a cosmic sludge.
Yeah.
And we're stuck in it. We're stuck in it. I mean, and we're getting little drips of the light coming in instead of being completely open like a fountain to our spines, right?
Yeah.
Right to the spinal current of humanity.
Yeah.
Right, we're just getting little trickles coming in of that cosmic light. Right.
Well, we're coming up here on the solstice, which is theoretically the darkest time in the northern hemisphere, but it does connect to the day after, which is the return of the light incrementally. I've always found that to be a really powerful metaphor. So why don't we kind of play with that a little bit? And that, let's say, that humanity is in the time of these degrees of darkness, these degrees of the winter in the north, and that really where we're headed is, metaphorically speaking, not just this season, right, but metaphorically speaking, the return of the light, you know,
Yeah.
post winter solstice. Why don't we start there? And why don't you break down the winter solstice a little bit and some of these traditional kinds of
Yeah.
interpretations?
I mean, typically the winter solstice is about the intimate relationship between the sun and the growing of the crops and the coming new year and the birth of new light on the planet. Like
Right.
it's the birth of the new sun god,
No.
right? That's what winter solstice is all about, and it's a time where that intimate relationship where with the sun and the waxing and waning forces of nature, start to go. It's the time of the wolf. It's where the time of the golden wolf, where you banish the evil of the past, and it's the rise of the new golden sun, right? And yeah, it's a time where you know you can either bring harmony or destruction in the coming year, right? Depending on the battle over the light and the darkness that happens during this time where the veil is thin, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, you know, all the powers they come amongst the stars during these certain times of the year, and us being disconnected from it, that's where the word disaster came from. Disaster, right? This is what you're moving away from, being less than, right? And aster is the knowledge of the stars, right? So disaster would be, moving away from your star origins, moving away from your star knowledge. So yeah, I think this time of year is bringing that werewolf almost energy in you, right? That transforming, I mean, type of energy where
Right.
it's the transformative energy of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's very important. And this year specifically, I think is one of the most powerful winter solstice we're going to have in the last few hundred years.
I'm
Maybe
go-
since at least in 1879, sometime somewhere around there.
I'm going to pull up the winter solstice chart here.
Well, and while you do that, we have in Italian mysticism the eight tregundas, the wheel of the year,
Uh huh.
right? And winter solstice is um, the Festa del Inverno is winter in Italy. So
Mm-hmm.
del Festa del in il Festa was it El Festa del Inferno is the winter solstice in Italy. Yeah, it's very very powerful time.
Yeah. Let me throw this up here. I have not looked at this chart, by the way. What do they do? Well, like what are some of the activities that are based around the
Oh
winter
man,
solstice
from
in
from
Italy?
from this time of year all the way
Yeah.
to February, where they do the festival of Lupercus, right? The you might know it as the Lupercalia, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is the time where you bring the god energy back, the sun god energy back. It's really powerful, right? In
Mm-hmm.
Roman times, it would be the god soul, they were communicating with all the crops, and it's basically people are going to war over how the crops are gonna rise in the coming seasons. You know, how the babies being born in the coming year are gonna be born, and just the outcome over good and evil.
Interesting. You know what's fascinating about this winter solstice is that it does not happen in Capricorn.
Hmm.
I mean, normally the winter solstice happens at 0
Interesting.
degrees Capricorn, and this year it's at 29 Sagittarius.
Wow.
So this is a very different kind of winter solstice.
And 29 number can be chaotic.
Yeah. So I was born on the 22nd of September. So I was born at that year. I was born on the autumnal equinox at 29 Virgo. So
Wow.
every now and then these solstice and equinox points aren't always at the 0 degree of the sign that they're supposed to be in. So this coming year, the winter solstice is at 29 Sag, but it also is in conjunction with Juno, which is all about fertility and planting new seeds.
Where
And then,
where is it with Saturn? Because like in the Roman times, they would have the winter solstice like with the sun god Sol
yeah,
and the agricultural god Saturn.
yeah,
That would be
Saturn's at 25 Pisces, so it's in square. It's in square with the sun. So
wow.
we see a Sun Saturn square.
See that? And it's the rise of the new sun usually on the solstice.
It's a
That's interesting.
very different energy for the coming
Whoa.
year. And you know, the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Pisces has been very powerful, and
Wow.
because these degrees are at the end of the zodiac, right? So we're at the end of an age. Like we're
Wow.
literally at the end of a zodiacal age.
I think it's
And
the end of the Kali Yuga this year. I do really
well,
think this.
you know, there's a, you know, in February on the 15th, we have Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries together. And
Wow.
I know a lot of people think of Aquarius as being like the dawn of the new age, or and we have Pluto in Aquarius. But I feel like if we're going to kind of, you know, get out on a limb here, that this whole idea of a new age begins next February. You know, right around the 15th of February, when Neptune and Saturn move together.
And
They
Pluto and
literally
Aquarius.
move together into Aries, right? And what is Aries? The Aries is the birth of something new. It is springtime, right? So we have Neptune, and they've never, like the last time Neptune and Saturn have moved together into Aries has been some outrageous like 6,000 year cycle.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah, like this is like
Wow.
we haven't seen this before. Like
Wow.
I mean, literally, this is a new time, a new epic, a new era, and you know, to your point, Neptune is connected to water and Pisces, so it's like being baptized into a new time.
Wow.
And Aries is the individual, right? And here we have now. What's interesting is
It
I was
it is
playing with
pouring the waters out of Indra and Vitra.
well,
Wow.
here look at
Struggle.
this, right? This
It
gets
is the
into
cosmic struggle. Wow.
there's your hoop, right? There's your
Yep.
hook
Wow.
right there, and that's Juno. And
Wow.
I was looking at a heliocentric guide to the planets yesterday. Like I could pull this up and we could look at this heliocentrically. And Juno is actually considered a planet in the heliocentric model. Like
Yeah.
you don't see like I'm sorry, Ceres, not Juno. Ceres. This is Ceres. Ceres is considered a planet.
Wow.
You don't see Juno. You don't see Vesta. You see Ceres. Like you will see
Wow.
Ceres have its own orbit in the heliocentric model. So here
And Juno goes by another name as well, right? Forget now.
we could look it up.
What did Juno could be also Dionysus or no?
I think so.
That's
Yes,
it.
because it's related to springtime. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so some of the other names for Juno are June, the month of June, of course. Junie, Gion, Gion,
I think it's connected to
Gianone.
Dionysus, though. I thought it
Yeah.
might be like
Uh,
and Attis and all the gods that return from the dead, right?
yeah. Let's just look
Yeah,
at the Juno and Dionysus,
because that would go along with Christ as well. And
Dionysus. So let's just see here. So this is interesting. I'm going to share this. Juno and Dionysus have a significant conflict in mythology,
huh,
primarily driven by Juno's jealousy of her husband, Zeus's affair with Semele, Dionysus's mortal mother, leading her to torment Dionysus throughout his life, including causing his mother's fiery death and later driving him to
wow,
madness, though he is also her relative as a son of Jupiter. So they are not the same, and they got beef.
that's awesome. I knew there was a connection between them, though. They're at war with each other.
Yeah, I'm having a deja
Yeah.
vu here, by the way. So
With us, too?
yeah,
With
right
the
now,
two of us. That's
yeah,
interesting.
in this moment, yeah.
That's
Um,
very interesting.
so getting back to this chart, though, like this whole thing was Ceres and the noose, right? Like it's not quite a noose, but it's a hook. And it's like
Yeah,
hook, and so when I'm not sure
it's the shepherd staff. You know,
it's
the crook
shepherding,
flame of
yeah,
the
it's
crook flame of the gods.
it's shepherding Neptune and Saturn into this new time in Aries. It's going to be really, really interesting. We're on uncharted territory here.
That's incredible. I can't believe that you said something like 6,000 years. That's insane.
No, this is not your garden variety transit. Like we've had Neptune in Aries just not long ago. We had Saturn go into Aries, but they both retreated. They return together, like
Yeah,
they're crossing the threshold together.
yeah, that's
And it's at
insane.
0 degrees. It's like a new thing, right?
Wow,
It's like the birth of something new. So
wow. So when you
yeah,
got guys, when you got a professional astrologer saying that he's never seen an astrological mix like that before,
well, I'm
that's
not the only one. To be fair, there's a lot of other people saying this, but
yeah, that's
I
incredible.
don't know if they're making the connections that we are right now using, like your like
Yeah, the different ways we come.
cosmology of the
Yeah,
news, right? Hooking this new time in.
yeah. Yeah, it
So
is. It's. I mean, in Hindu, they they talk about it as the Pasha, and Varuna wields this Pasha, this golden noose, this golden loop, and Varuna is the god of the waters. But if you look more deeply, he's the god of the solar waters. He's the god of the sun, the waters coming from the sun, and he wields this golden noose that is described as the Varuna Pasha, that is a golden lasso that he lassos souls and pulls them off the earth into the celestial waters. Also, Ganesha wields this golden noose, and Ganesha uses it to release the Naga, the magnetic field line, the Birkeland currents, and he uses it to remove the evil on earth. This golden noose. And you'll see Ganesha and Varuna holding the golden noose, and it's a golden noose, and it has like two cords at the bottom, like they're twisting magnetic field lines to
ooh,
form that loop.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I just pulled up the Sabian symbol for Sagittarius on the winter solstice, and it dovetails with exactly what we're talking about here. So
Wow.
the symbol is the Pope blessing the faithful. Now this is, of course, Dane Rudhyar's interpretation. The need to pay homage to traditional values upon which the invisible community of the spirit is built. And this is what we've been talking about, right? We've been talking about this exoteric sort of manifestation of the world and this esoteric inner life that world is theoretically built upon, theoretically. So I'm just going to read this. The concrete integration of myriads of human individuals within a great religious institution with a long tradition reflects, as well as having produced century after century, an invisible spiritual community. The flag bearer, which is what the flag bearer shows up on 26 Sagittarius, which is the galactic center, by the way. The 26 Sag is the galactic center. So if we go here,
yes,
it is the flag bearer has now become the Pope,
who right at the center of the Milky Way, right?
Yep. Yep. Who assumes the role of God's representative on Earth,
which is where they found Three Eye Atlas, right? Where they first saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is a role, but culture is based on embodying great images and deeply moving symbols in physical reality. The symbol asks of the individual, this is really key here. Are you willing to live a transpersonal life as a symbol? This is the final and supreme statement of that section of the year represented by Sagittarius. This concludes scene 18. A collectivity of human beings is seen having transferred their sense of spiritual value to a man who's become an incarnation of their common ideal. Keyword, personalized worship. It can be a blessing or in some cases a curse. And this is what we've been talking about. We've been talking about religion as kind of this damnation and this curse, and each individual being able to have that as their internal and external reality. Are we capable of becoming the Pope or the spiritualized and central focus of spiritual energy in our lives? I think this is what this degree of Sagittarius is talking about. And this is what we're dealing with on the winter solstice. The transference of that individual and that figure into each and every one of us.
I like that. That was well said. Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome.
Well, this is what I love about doing these shows with you, because we kind of fire alchemically off each other and bring different things to the table. So do you have any suggestions besides, and I think some of those were good, like what can we do during the time of this solstice energy? How do we bring this idea of because it's coming, this new age is coming, right? And it could be the new age of AI, it could be the new age of the singularity, or it could be the new age where there's an awakening in each and every one of us. It is coming. So do you have any hints or clues or insights into how we can accelerate this?
I mean, ultimately, besides saying that I literally do make products to help get us out of the fog, to help connect us to that. But besides that, it's really important what we think about, what our vibration is, what's coming out of us, and staying grounded, right? Doing some sort of grounding every day. You got to literally take an astral shit. You got to get rid of the astral debris.
Astral shit.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that astral debris. I mean, that we pick up even when we go to sleep. People looking at us with dirty looks, everything, just shit that we pick up. Yeah. We just got to get rid of every day. And being creative is so important. Yeah. I cannot. It sounds so simple and cliche, but it's so important.
Yeah.
Being creative, whatever it is. If you're a creative person, no matter what you spend time to, you should be able to explore that and be creative in it, right?
Be creative is expressing the spirit of God.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the way you give yourself empowerment.
Yeah.
Right? It's the way you empower your free will.
Yeah. Well, speaking of creativity, you've got some products on your website, some stuff that you've invested in. Let me pull your website up here, and maybe we could talk through some of this stuff. So I have it up here. Where is it? The Mystic Spiral.
MysticalSpiralStore.com.
The Mystical
Spiral Store. .com.
There you go. This was our store.com. Yes, there it is.
Yep.
I have it right there. So let's take a look at this. And you've got some
All
things.
handmade by me and my family.
You've got some things that could make some really interesting gifts for people.
Stocking stuffer. Yeah.
So you want to go to crystals, tensors? Where do you want to go?
Shop. Has everything. If you go to shop, it has everything.
Let's go to the shop. Let's see what we got.
It has everything.
So there we go. Look at this. This is really nice looking stuff.
Yep. I got stocking stuffer EMF packages. That one's on sale today for $50, and those are really cool. So if you guys see right here, I make my own little custom. This is the highest quality shungite with elite noble shungite with the royal cubic copper coil around it, all made by me. And I just put together this awesome EMF package for somebody where I'm making black tourmalines and this is black tourmaline and shungite with the royal cubit. I do various cubits around copper. I help make products to help you. I make products to help bring you out of the fog, protect you from EMF waves, help psychic protection, EMF protection. I have a reading package. I got actually one available left of the reading package. And if you guys want today, if you use the code 3030, you could even get 30% off that reading package. And that's a 12 readings for $279 it would come out to. That's a great deal. And
this is lovely right here.
Oh yeah, that's the Sa'aku Golden Heartfire Opal. Yeah, that's a really cool one. I make all different. Every one is unique and one of a kind. I over the last 10 years, I started to wrap my own gemstones and crystals. At first, I was, I had someone else from India that I knew that was making the tensor tools for both me and Misaki. But over the years, I learned how to make them myself. So now everything's done by me. Some are done. I have some that are tensors, some are done regular wire wrapping. But when you wrap a coil around piezoelectric material like quartz, you're essentially squeezing the quartz and opening up the light, right? Opening up the piezoelectric properties of the quartz, which then you can put thoughts into. When you generate an electric current, you put thoughts into frequencies, and you're opening up the information of the quartz, right, of the stone. So yeah, I have everything on there. I have specimens, crystal balls, crystals, skulls, everything on there. So
very cool. Very, very cool. So I think I have that link available for people that are interested.
There's a lot of free information too. If you go into the menu in the more section, there's a whole bunch of free information. My whole Mystical Spiral website's there too.
There it is.
There's sub-menus. When you go down, you'll see there's like Vedic solar dynasties, all that stuff. There's a lot of interesting info in there for you guys. And Robert's on there. If you go to the colleague page, you'll find Robert. You go colleagues, go down to colleagues
right there. All right.
And you'll find Robert Phoenix towards the bottom.
Lori
There's
Bruno,
only 5 people there.
We got Glenn, Dr. Professor Chandra, Gary Wayne. I have Gary Wayne's book, one of his books.
The Sun Yogi. And Gary is Robert Phoenix.
The Cowboy Astrologer. Cool, man. Well, our time here has gone by really quickly.
Wow.
Is there anything else that you want to bring to the table and drop on people before we get out of here?
Yeah, I do readings on it as well to let people know. And I have my own way of doing like my own telepathic tarot to help guide people on their cosmic journey. And I have a Substack I just started, Castaldo, and I have a patreon.com/themysticalspiral. Guys, it's really important, the vibration that's coming out of us. It's so important, especially during solstice. Yeah. And it's so important that you be creative and you spend time in nature and you spend time with people that want to spend time with you. Yeah. It's very important.
Yeah. 100 around that. Well, Ra, it's always great having you on the show.
Love you, Robert.
We love you back. We always have a wild journey and touch on a lot of different things, and wishing you and your family a great solstice and holiday season.
Thank you for having me on, everybody. And remember, you can use the code for just Robert Phoenix today, 30, to get 30% off of all the already on sale prices. And Robert will get paid for it. I will send him some
There you
gifts and stuff
go.
like that.
Get
So,
a little kickback from the man himself.
yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank
All
you for
right.
having me on, Robert. I love you, man. Spiral out.
As always, Rod, take care. There he is, Rod Castaldo. A brisk hour and 24 minutes of really interesting information. And yeah, I feel like this whole Saturn Neptune conjunction, I'm probably going to do like an extended show on that on Sunday night. And really looking at this as the birth of the new age, because the third dimensional world is coming to an end. It is coming to an end. AI is ushering the end of the 3D reality in a certain way, right? And so what we have to do is we have to move with it. And I'm not necessarily saying that you can't use AI or, incorporate AI. I mean, look at, I've got an AI like backdrop here. I did that just before the show. It's kind of cool, right? So, I've got my own little relationship with AI. It's not like, I'm some Luddite and want to, burn the witch. However, that said, on a much larger scale, once they get the data centers in, and the data centers are driving everything, which includes transactions, which includes surveillance, which includes a myriad of jobs. Like right now, I got to tell you, I get these phone calls that are AI fucking phone calls. They wait for me to say hello, and then it kicks in. Hi, you said this. Hi, this is so and so. You said that I should call you back. No, I didn't. I never told you you should call me back. You're a fucking robot, right? So, just like anything, there's an upside, there's a downside, but really, what's occurred to me is that this is the end of third dimensional reality, and for us to be able to navigate it, to handle it, that we need to move our game up as well. We need to get to, like, as the disincarnate incarnates in the third dimensional reality, which is really what AI is in a lot of ways. We need to take our game up into the disincarnate level. That doesn't mean we disappear. It means that we're operating with a different kind of technology, a different kind of spiritual network. Let's put it in those terms. And the Saturn Neptune conjunction is the birth of that. It's coming. Like, it'll have its own version in the 3D world, I guarantee you. But it will have another meaning, both symbolically and in actuality. So we'll talk more about that on Sunday night. All right. Thank you all for being here. If you enjoyed today's show, hit thumbs up. If you're new, hit subscribe. We have guests here every Friday, and they're really interesting people, and you'll learn a lot. And I'm here Tuesday through Thursday with the Astro Weather, and Sunday night with Sunday Night Astro Live. So stick around and become a fine member of Chattaria. Lots of nice people, cool folks in there as well. All right, use your head in order to discern what's real. Keep your heart open to what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Take care. Bye for now.